So that means that you've got 3 formatives this week. There's one today. Um, Today's is kind of like a way to learn something new in 5 minutes, which is kind of cool. And, Fridays is going to be kind of a, easy one to do. It's the beginning of the third 6 weeks. Grades go in, I think they upload in about 10 minutes at noon. So you can check all of your grades. I think the third 6 weeks is a short marking period. I think we only have these 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. Then we have the week of Thanksgiving off. And then after the week of Thanksgiving, I think there's like 3 more weeks, but one of those weeks is going to be exam week, right? The one right before I think you guys are done on the 17th of December. So really there's only 4 weeks of instruction, and one of those weeks might also be review. So it could end up where there's only 3 weeks of, regular instruction. Depends on the class. I don't know how people are going to do exams this year. That's an interesting idea. There is no exam for this class, just FYI. For the exam grade, I'll just average your 6 weeks. This class doesn't really have tests. We do projects, right? Speaking of which, you should all have your project proposals back, so you can look at those. I did put comments on them. There were some that were good to go. There were others that I had things I wanted to, sort of interject. So do read your feedback, not just the feedback on the grade, but sometimes I'll put feedback in the document. So have a look at your proposal. I might have asked you to narrow things down a little bit or expand things or given you an idea, just something I was thinking about in the feedback there. Also, the grades for the first projects are all done. I'm gonna be working over the next week or so to put all of them onto the website. So those will be going up gradually as I have the opportunity to link them and put them all in the right places on the website. But beginning of the third 6 weeks, our big grade is gonna come from the project, of course. What else is on the updates? Hybrid schedule. We have the same schedule this week as last week, but next week, everything's going to change again, because next week is when the hybrid schedule goes into full effect. And anybody who's chosen hybrid can start coming to school. There were more students on campus today, I think, than last week, because this is the week that they have all 4 grade levels with students who have grade issues. So the students that are on campus right now are either WISD employees' kids, or they're students that failed 2 of their core areas, first or second 6 weeks. So those students are here. And then next week, anybody who has chosen hybrid can start coming. So I'm anticipating, I haven't seen that schedule, but I'm anticipating that it's going to be more like a schedule that we had before all this stuff happened. So like blocks until 4 o'clock. But I haven't seen it yet, so we'll make adjustments as we go for that. Also, hey, 10 school days until Thanksgiving break, and that includes Fridays and everything. So Thanksgiving is coming up. I guess I thought in the spring that we would be back to normal by now. I don't think we're going back to normal this year. This school year, if ever, right? Okay, assignment for this week. You should be working on your research project number 2. Nobody had their proposal rejected, so everybody should be starting to look at whatever it is that they decided that they wanted to study up on for the second research project. I am going to want to have a conference with you between, I think I started them on Wednesday this week through the next week, Friday, before we go out on Thanksgiving break. And in that conference, it'll be very similar to the one that we had for 6 weeks, but I want to have a discussion about how your project's coming, this new one, and your deadline, if that's shaping up. And also I want to talk about how we're going to score your project, because with this project, you and I are going to collaborate on your grade. How about that? That's something new and exciting, right? So if you look on this week's items and reminders and things, you can click right here where it says project rubric. So when you come to your conference, I want you to have already thought at least a little bit about the qualities that you want, that you think are important for your project to be graded on. So I put some things here that will help you. There are 2 websites, I'll go into that in a minute, but click on the one that says Project Scoring Guide on your computer there, and you'll see that I made a little template. So a rubric is a scoring guide, and you've probably seen them before. Teachers use them all the time in order to convey to students what is expected on a particular assignment. Well, I can't make one for this project because everybody's got a different direction, everybody's got a different end product. Some people are doing videos, some people are doing letters, some people, I mean, it's just all over the place. So part of our discussion in our conference is going to be starting to set up how your project will be graded. And I want your input on that because it's your project that you conceived of. So you and I will be deciding on the grade together. So this should make a copy for you that you can save for yourself. I want you to start thinking about, I mean, I know that we're in the early stages of the project, but go to your proposal and start thinking about what are the qualities of this project that you think are most significant. Does it need to be clear? Does it need to be, you know, balanced? Are you looking at 2 different things and comparing and contrasting? And is the balance of those 2 things important? Is the accuracy of information important? What are the qualities? I want you to think of at least 4 qualities that you think, you can add some, that you think your project needs to be evaluated on, and put them in there. You can start filling in the rubric over here. I did add, you don't have to have the rubric completed to do your presentation, by the way. I mean your conference. You can come to the conference with just some ideas there and you and I will work on it together. But I did give you a couple of websites here about how to create rubrics. Obviously, they're written for teachers, but we can use this information to help you define what is it that is the main goal of your project, what parts of it need to be evaluated, and so on. And so this one kind of goes through some steps to help you work on the levels, right? Because after you come up with the criteria, let's just say that the criteria is that it needs to be documented, right? You need to use one of the documentation styles in order to show your sources. Well, then you start thinking, okay, well, in that criteria, what would be unacceptable? Would be unacceptable to not list your sources. So you can put that in there. What would be not great, but acceptable? Well, you could have a list of sources, but it's not formatted properly, right? And then the target is kind of like, you know, the good project. And then exemplary is like, what would you do if it was above and beyond, right? So I think you should come to your meeting with at least a few criteria, and maybe you've started to play around with what that would look like in the different grade categories. But I want you to think of at least 4 things. I might add something there that I think is important about your project that we should look at when we're evaluating. And so then once you turn in your project, guess what? This is going to come back up again, because when we finish this scoring guide, we're going to use it to grade your project. Just when you thought you understood everything about school, Mrs. Ramos throws you a curve. I love it. All right, questions on how that works? This is like a working document, I guess you could think of it that way. It's an opportunity for you to have a voice in how your work gets evaluated. I don't even get that in my job. They just apply the rubric. Here's how we're going to be evaluating you. All right, so play around a little bit with that, and I'll have you share it with me when you come to your conference on whatever day that's going to be. Oh, there's another link here. Besides that one website, there's a PDF here. It happens to be from UT, and it's for teachers I guess. But I like this one because this is the other link that's on that assignment. What it does is it gives you different ideas about how you can label it, but it also gives you different descriptors, right? Like you could say, this project always does this, which would be the top end. This one goes in the opposite direction. Usually, whatever, sometimes does it or doesn't really do it. So this gives you like some wording so that you can, when you're writing in those boxes, kind of explain what would be the qualities of the project at that level. Right. And there's a lot of different ideas on here to think about. But I didn't want to just throw a rubric on you and make you do one without some support. So there are these links here that will help you. All right, so that's one of the things I want you to bring with you to your conference and share with me. And the other thing, we'll just talk about your project and how far you've come. I don't think you should set up for a conference if you're going to say, I didn't work on the rubric and I haven't worked on my project. I don't see the point of having a conference then. So the reason I want to have the conference before Thanksgiving is so that you'll at least have started on those things. When we get back from Thanksgiving, the next week is December, the week that we get back. So, you know, I don't want things to get super jammed up on you with your projects and your papers and your exams and all that stuff that you have to start working on your project, you know, a week before it's due. I mean, you could do that, but I'm trying to encourage you to get started on it a little bit sooner. I don't have any other assignments for you. It's really just working on the project and the formatives. So, you know, carve out some time each week to work on your project and get some good research done there. About scheduling your conference, I'll click on that right here. I'm trying out something new. It's called You Can Book Me. I don't really like the name of that, but I like the application because what this one does is it will give you time frames that you can go ahead and sign up for. And it will give you like a email reminder of when the time is, and it will put it automatically onto my Google Calendar. So if you go to that link, then you can look at the times that are available. There's another week after that. So if you don't like those days, you can come to these days too. There. Obviously, I'm not going to have Saturday, Sunday meetings, but you can go ahead and just click on whatever time. It will ask you just for your name and your email. And the email will send you the Zoom link, and it will send you also like a confirmation of your time. I don't know, it's a little bit fancy, but I'm trying it out because it will save me some steps. People were emailing me and stuff, and it's like, no, but I can't. So this I think will do it automatically. I was looking, and people from this morning already started. You can see they already started signing up, so you could see all my meetings are lined up. It just automatically put them on my calendar, so automatically, as they say. So whenever you have time, you can go, and anything that's, you know, available will show up there. Pretty cool, right? I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, that's how you can schedule your conference. Last thing I wanted to talk about today is project ideas. If you're on the classwork tab in our Google Classroom, and you look over here on the left, you can see all of the topics. One of them is project ideas, and I wanted to talk about them a little bit because I wanted to make sure that you understood that you get to choose how you show your learning on your projects. If you choose to write a research paper, you know, like that's cool. I'm not going to bug you about it, but you've written research papers before. I don't think that's a new thing to you. PowerPoints, you know, PowerPoints are good, but they're not good for everything, right? There are other ways to show that you've learned something. And so I started collecting them here. And I want to kind of go through this list a little bit with you just to show you what are some possibilities. And already what I've included in this list are some different ways that you can do a project. And also, like, I tried to put some tutorials on there So if it was something new for you, there's like a quick get started quick video that you can watch to see what it looks like or how it works, or get some help with getting started. So I want you just to consider thinking really carefully about, if my goal is to make sure that middle school kids understand what it takes to be a lawyer, and I understand that my research will help me with that career path too, then I think about what's the best way to present that to middle school kids then. They probably don't want to read a research paper. I never taught middle school, but my niece is in middle school, and I really don't think that middle school kids want to read a research paper. They might watch a video, right? They might, look at an animation or something, so think about your audience and think about your information, your content, and what's the best way to present it. And then maybe some of these would fit it, right? You can make a website. It's super easy to make a website on Google Sites, and it's free. You already have the Google account through the school district, and it's pretty easy to customize a Google website. I put a little tutorial on here. If you have something that needs multiple pages where people can go to a page and learn whatever they need to for that particular subtopic, that's a good way to do it. Explain Everything is a whiteboard that you can use to display information, images, things like that. Go through step by step with your research. ThingLink is kind of similar to that, but you can see I put a tutorial on there. Sketchboard is another one. This lets you make custom diagrams. And so maybe you want to include diagrams in your PowerPoint that you need to create the diagram. There's a way to do that. Padlet, we've used Padlet before. Padlet is pretty versatile. And you could set up a bunch of, posts that you can set it up in a timeline if you wanted to. If you're doing one of those projects where you're trying to investigate what's the career path, what does it take to be, a surgeon, then one of the ways that you can set up a Padlet gives you different options. Let me just show you real quick, in case you've never made one, you've only contributed to Padlets. When you start a Padlet, it gives you all of these different options. Now, if you have a free account for Padlet, they'll let you make like 5 Padlets or something like that. Create them, but you only need one for a project. But you could set it up. Look, there's one that's a timeline, so it's set up where it scrolls across. So if you were doing something that was, first you have to do this, first you need a bachelor's degree, and then you need to apply to medical school, then you need to take, the MCAT. Well, MCAT, then apply to medical school. Like if you needed to show the pathway to something, you could choose the timeline on the Padlet, and then you can drop in images and people can click on it and get more information or go to a website. There are maps, all different ways that you can organize the structure of the Padlet is what I'm trying to point out there. And so I included here how to sign up for Padlet, how to create an account where you can have a couple of free Padlets, and then different ways that you could use them. You can make a blog. Maybe there's a journey that you're on in your research. I'm trying to discover what it takes to be financially secure, and I'm going to blog 5 different weblog entries about me discovering that. And it's sort of like my reflection journal on figuring that out. Or vlogs. I think later on there's a vlog, which is just a video version of that. Here's a low tech option. Maybe you want to make a flip chart. Not everybody wants to be on the computer 24/7. I don't know, I get headaches and my neck muscles hurt. Right now, I'm just thinking about it. This is a no-tech version for the project, if that fits your bill. There's Canva, we're all familiar with that. I use that quite a bit. You can make infographics on there. What if you wanted to create a lesson for younger kids? Teach them about, how to be financially, learn about finances. Like whatever, when you're a kid, you can start learning about saving your money, or persuasive letter. There's the vlog. This has some how to just use your phone to vlog, make a vlog. There is a blog. Google has a blogger right here that you can, it's easy to set up. Most of these tools, there are Google formats of them. Maybe you want to make a public service announcement about your topic, right? Like to recruit more women into STEM careers, and whichever you learn about engineering, you could put into a PSA instead of a research paper. You could set up a panel discussion. I had a few students that did that last year. It was pretty interesting. They got some experts in and they had a discussion with topic questions from their research. Blend Space is kind of like Padlet. It looks like this. So there's these little tiles and you can put videos and images and students can go through and you can, or whoever's viewing your Blend Space, they can go through and view the different things that you've set up for them there. Everything here is a free account. They might have those premium accounts like Canva. I never have purchased a premium account. I just use either my own images or the free ones on Canva. You don't have to always buy the thing, but sometimes they will trick you and they'll, the really cool icon that you use is $1 or something. You don't have to use that stuff. Just go and find it on the Google images and just import it. You're not selling it, you're doing a project. Ebook, maybe you want to make an ebook. So there are lots of options. This is how to turn a PowerPoint into an ebook. There are lots of different ways that you can represent what you're learning, not just the typical ways. And the way that you should decide is based on your content and your audience. What is going to be the best way to communicate that to whoever it is that you say is consuming your content, right? So I wanted to go through that. I'm continually adding things in there. So sometimes I add stuff. All these are pretty much ones that I had last year that I added in there, but every once in a while I come across a tool or something that people could use to create projects and I add them in there. So any questions on this week? I want to make sure that you get at least started on your project, your research, find some sources, get some info, all of that before we meet up for your conference. If you're having trouble finding information, then contact me and I'll see what I can do to get you some starting points. But have at least a start on that before we meet up. I might have to change the times for next week once I get the new schedule. I don't know how that's going to work out. All right, well, everybody's super quiet today. If there aren't any questions, that's all the material that I had for you. You need to spend your time researching. So Wednesday will be an asynchronous day. We don't need to meet. I already have permission. They let me do what I want around here anyway, but nobody ever bothers me. I don't know why. Never did anything controversial, I guess. But all right, we'll give that rubric a shot and sign up for your conference, and I'll either see you at your conference or I will see you back here on Monday. Okay? I hope you all have a good week. Enjoy the rest of your day. Good to see you all.
Bye, Miss.
Bye. See you later.
Bye, Miss.
Bye.
Miss, so with the rubric, we're supposed to create our own, or
yeah, I want you to start thinking about, let me go to the template. I want you to start thinking about how you think your project should be evaluated. So what are the criteria that you think would be most significant in your project for us to look at and determine, how well it meets that requirement or that criterion. So you don't have to fill out the whole thing by the time we meet. Just maybe start thinking about what would be some descriptions. What is your topic that you have? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I was gonna research the jobs that you can get with a marine biology degree.
Okay, so then maybe one of the criteria on yours is like the variety level of jobs. Like if if in your project all you do is talk about 3 jobs and they're really closely related, then it doesn't really give you the breadth of opportunities in that job field. So maybe a key criterion would be that there is a variety of different jobs with, that degree. So then
Mm,
over here, I would put in variety, and then your end product, if it's unacceptable, it would not have variety, right? So I would just write a little sentence here that's under unacceptable that says very little variety is present in the different career paths for marine biology. And then acceptable might be, a few different job paths are represented. And then exemplary would be the widest possible range of careers that are available with a marine biology degree.
yeah.
So this turns into like a continuum, right? Of, bad to super great.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
And then,
That's
yeah,
enough.
and just
Yeah.
think about some other criteria. I'm going to add some stuff too, because, students don't think about it needing to be grammatically correct. And I'm going to want to put that in there. And,
Yeah.
maybe some projects need images, right? That
Oh,
could be a criterion. So yeah, just think about what would be the most important elements of your finished product.
okay.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Miss.
All
Have a
right.
good day.
Take care.